Hey guys, just getting ready to do some sandblasting here before the rain hits. Thought I'd do a quick little video and show you. I know a couple of you have been using these Harbor Freight and such pressure blasters. I'm using a Clark, which is, I bought it from, we have Tractor Supply here. I don't know how many of those are around, but it's similar to Northern Tool. Not quite as cheap as stuff as Harbor Freight, but they carry basically is the same thing as a Harbor Freight type brand. Mine's pretty old. You can see it's all faded out from the sun and everything. Just basically as your simple inlet, you open up this valve and it pressurizes the tank. And then down at the bottom here you got a valve which meters the sand coming through, the dead man valve. The way I found, I've messed around with a lot of different ones of these, and some of them can be pretty finicky. I found that by using the finest sand I can buy, stay away from play sand or real sand. Use the more things like the what do you call it, black diamond, crushed glass, stuff like that. It works much better. But basically what I do is I put my air on this, I open up the valve, it'll pressurize this up to, you know, I don't know, 125 psi, and then at that point I'll open up this back valve, and what that'll do is pressurize the tank, and at that point I'll start having air leakage through the nozzle there, which is no big deal. At least there's no sand coming out. When I'm ready to start blasting whatever I'm going to do, which in this case is going to be, I got a little sign here, I got a blast for a buddy, and then I got some condo numbers that I'm going to do, and then I got 2 inner fender wells for the truck that I got to clean up. What I go to do is I'll pressurize the tank, open the valve, I'll grab my nozzle, have my hood on, ready to go, and you know, once I'm ready to start blasting, I'll reach down here and I'll just start opening up that valve, and at the same time I'll open up this valve and I'll just kind of aim it out into the yard, and I just start slowly cranking it open until you start getting abrasive coming out. As soon as the abrasive comes out, then I'll start blasting, and every once in a while it'll you know, kind of seem like it's running dry, not getting sand blowing out. You can tell if it's low on sand, just give it a little rock, and if it starts blasting again, then it's probably you're just getting low on sand. If that doesn't fix your problem, I usually crank the valve all the way open and just blast, and works really good. I'm using the largest tip on the gun. You know, the more abrasive the better. And that's pretty much it. As soon as I'm done blasting, like as I'm finishing up here, as soon as I shut the gun off, I'll reach down here and I'll close my valve down here on the bottom. I don't really care so much about this one, but if I don't shut the abrasive valve, it'll still drop sand down into the hose, and then when you go to pull this trigger again, it'll sit here and piss out frickin' abrasive, you know, because the whole line will, you know, the whole hose will be full of sand, and you wind up wasting, you know, a couple of pounds of sand waiting for the thing to clear out to where some air can go through it. That's why I shut, you know, every time I'm done blasting for a second or two, I shut the valve off, and you know, that way you're not dumping sand into the hose. Anyways, that's what's worked for me. Anyways, I'll get this set up, and I'll go ahead and turn you on, let you watch a little bit of blasting, and then I'll turn you back on and show you the finished results. Alright, I'll show you guys how. Come on. I think I'd buy a new camera stand one of these days. This thing's the biggest pile of shit I've ever seen. Okay. Here's this. You can see the depth I carved it. Really doesn't take long at all when everything's working good. And then these here, these I didn't blast real deep because I only used 3/4 inch foam on these. But see, once we take this, see how you can see when I pull the rubber stencil off. So you can see the letters, their numbers. Hold on a minute, let me get the duct tape going here. I'll show you the finished product. And all I have to do is paint these. That's how the finished plate is. And what I'll do with this is I'll just go ahead and prime them, paint them. And believe it or not, those 4 little panels was $100. So that made those 4 plaques just about pay for buying one of these things, give or take another deal. This a job like this one here, once I paint it and everything, you know, a little job like this usually pays for probably about $100. So I mean, between these 2 jobs right here, pretty much pays for the sandblaster. So I've used this thing for probably 5 years now. The only thing I've ever had to replace on it is the valve on the bottom. The ones, when you first buy these things, they put a really cheap valve on them and the handle breaks off them usually. So first thing I did is bought a better one of those and put on there. And if you're running sand or anything that's real wet, the first problem I had, I didn't have a good water filter on this, and the wet sand would actually cake in here and it would just fill inside here and clog it up, and could never figure it out until I went to replace this valve. When I took this apart, you could see the media was like fused inside there, so I had to beat the hell out of it with a hammer just to break it all loose in there, put it back together. And ever since I put in that moisture filter that I showed you guys in one of my earlier videos, that motor guard, haven't had any problems. This thing works like a champ now. So anyways, that's it for the signs. I'm gonna go ahead and blast these fenders now. I don't know how long this video is getting, so I'll go ahead and leave you on, and if it's not too long, I'll add the fender video in there too. I'll go ahead and show you the top part of this before I go ahead and turn it off. Alright guys, it's starting to rain. Anyways, you can see how quick it stripped that off. I'll have to wait till the rain stops to finish it, but you can see it makes pretty quick work of it. I mean, that was just a couple of minutes, if that, and stripped half of it already, so, or 3/4 of it. So anyways, I'm gonna get going. I'll upload this video and I'll talk to you guys a little later. See ya.